Hello students. Our today's topic is lesson 3.2 mind mapping. In that lesson, one mind mapping is given on do schools really kill creativity. That is a part that is not actually a lesson on do schools really kill creativity. So in that lesson, one mind mapping on that particular concept is given. So the lesson actually is related to mind mapping. So now we will see what is mind mapping, how it is prepared, and what are the uses of mind mapping, how is it useful to you students in your 12th standard or in your further educational field. So let's start. What is mind mapping? A mind map is actually a graphical way to represent ideas and concepts. That is, in mind mapping, we do not write long sentences, we take the central idea or we take the concept and present it in the form of a word only. It is a visual thinking tool that helps structuring information, helping you to better analyze, comprehend, synthesize, recall, and generate new ideas. Right? So, mind mapping, it opens up your mind and it brings some new ideas, new words, new vocabulary in your brain. Just as in every great idea, its power lies in its simplicity. As much as the simple your idea is, uh, it will be having more power. You are generating something more simple, it is more influential, it will be more impressive, it would be. So our mind mapping should be as simple as possible. A format of mind mapping is there. It is on wedding ceremony. Like, what is the central theme? Central idea is wedding. This is the basic. The center one part is your main idea, and then its branches will be out, and then its twigs will be there. So the blue one, it is your central idea, and in brown it is your branches, and in green it is your twigs. So like it is just a tree, main trunk, then branches, and then its twigs. So this is on a wedding ceremony. Wedding. So what are the branches in wedding? Like, what thoughts comes to my mind related to wedding ceremony? Good food, guest, dress, then some romance will be there, some enjoyment will be there, and then further we can add up into food, can be further divided into what kind of food will be there. And then regarding dress, you can be, it can be further divided into sherwani, pant, shirt, sari, lehenga, lacha, like that. So, and in ceremony, parents, relatives, so further they can be divided into branches. So this is mind mapping, that is explaining something using words only, not writing sentences. This is one activity which is in your textbook only, and it is on page number 141. So this is a mind mapping activity related to preparing for your board examination. So what thoughts come into your mind related to preparation for board examination? We go one by one. Be disciplined, eat healthy, sleep well, and follow the study plan. That is first thing that comes in the mind. Eating should be healthy, sleeping should be well, and study plan will be there. Thorough reading all the textbooks. Create reference noted of every chapter. We should have notes of for every chapter. Read suggested resources and references online, offline. Solve all the practice papers. Make a list of doubts. Attend all the revisions and doubt solving sessions. Solve all possible mock papers and previous year's question papers. So these are the preparations which we do for your board examination. So this is your mind map for your preparation of board examination, that yes, what activities will I do. So this is one activity on that. And then, to know it in detail, whenever you have to complete a similar type of detailed graphical figure in your own style, showing the thoughts, ideas or concepts that keep on generating in your mind. So whenever you have to give a graphical presentation, different ideas will come to your mind, and then we choose a particular style, a design or a graphical presentation to describe your that same idea, fact or situation. That presentation is called as mind mapping. That is, you are giving me some information on a particular idea, and different students will have a different kind of presentation on that similar topic, on same idea. They will give me a different presentation. So that is called as mind mapping. In mind mapping, different shapes, arrows, lines, connectors, balloons, boxes, curved arrows, call outs or symbols, we can say, scribbles, we can say. So draw, scribble means draw carelessly, like lines can be drawn anywhere, like this one. Scrolls, explosions, anything can be used to describe your mind map, that what have you prepared on the particular concept. So any of these aspects we can use in our mind mapping. For example, see, branches, main, central theme, branches, and then twigs. Here it is represented some different way. Here it is different represented in the form of clouds. Here different shapes are used, and here circles are used. So we can present it any way. Then in your textbook, one presentation of one mind mapping by Sir Ken Robinson is there, which is on the topic that do schools really kill creativity. He has given an example related to his mind mapping also. So actually, Sir Ken Robinson claimed that schools kill creativity. Education in schools is out of creativity, and creativity to be acquired in education itself. He says that schools' true creativity is based on knowledge, which in turn is based on literacy. That is, our schools, where children develop the literacy skills on which all further learning depends, are therefore not killing creativity but cultivating it by providing the foundations young people need to be properly creative. That is, actually schools are not killing creativity, but they are cultivating it by providing some foundation on it. So he has given an evidence for that, because his thought that schools are really killing creativity was it was contradicted by many. So he has given one example of a girl student who was 8 years old. He had cited example of Gillian Lyon. According to him, Gillian Lyon was a young girl of 8 years, and she had some problem of not sitting still and concentrate. She had a difficulty of getting theoretical education. uh, because of that, her problem of not able to sit silent and concentrate, she was unable. So when her mother sought a medical explanation for Gillian's constant fidgeting and lack of focus, the doctor suggested they speak privately. Her mother took her to a doctor, and she sought a medical explanation, and then doctor said they will not speak in front of Gillian, so they wanted to speak in privately. And while going out of the room, doctor turned on the radio so that Gillian should not get bored. But to their surprise, doctor observed from the window that Gillian was not sick. She was dancing on those radio beats, and she was a good dancer. She is a dancer, doctor said. Then he explained that to her mother, that she has no interest in education, in that theoretical education, but she has some other interest in dancing. So rather, let her do dance. So now, today, at the age of 92, Gillian can look back on a long career in ballet dance, and she is the world's most successful choreographer with hits like Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats and Phantom of the Opera among her many achievements. So, school ignored her extraordinary talent over basic education, and school has even written her off after her success, that her extraordinary talent is actually some behavioral problem or cognitive impairment. They did not took it as her extraordinary talent. They said this is something impairment, so she can dance. So this is the thing which her school has killed. But because of doctor's consultation, this creativity came up, and today she is the world's best choreographers. So this shows that it is not necessary that education or the basic education will give creativity, but some other acquisitions are also there which can develop by training or some practice, and it is not required that each acquisition, each creative idea can be applicable to every field. A dancing creativity can be applicable in dance only, not in mathematics. So this thing was explained by Sir Ken Robinson. So these are few examples of mind mapping. What are the 21st century skills? Problem solving, communication, learning how to learn, transfer of skills. So these are the 21st century skills on which every school, every institution is focusing. So this is a mind map, one example of mind map on that. This is in your textbook only. And then there are some four fronts of basic education, that four fronts of all education. What are they? Mastering disciplines, learning to communicate effectively, engaging civically in discussion and arguments. So do schools kill creativity? No. Today's schools do not kill creativity, because in every school now learning and bringing out the creativity of student is on. Every school is working on that concept. Educational goals of every school are what is true, what is beautiful, what is good. That is taken into consideration nowadays. So now one more example of mind mapping. If I ask you to create a mind mapping on your future plans, so suddenly something will come to your mind. What? Family, education, sports, job, fun, marriage, and what kind of fun you will have. Further you can add up movies, parties, picnics, family, joint family. Then we will add members of the family, education, which field are you going, what education will you get. In sports, different kind of sport activities can be written over there. In job, what kind of job you will go. Marriage, what kind of marriage you want to have, who will attend the marriage, and what will happen after the marriage. So this is your mind mapping, that what ideas come to your mind related to that particular topic. That is called as mind mapping. So now what are the uses of mind mapping? Uses of mind mapping in note taking, that is whenever we make notes related to some particular subject, related to my exam, related to my presentation, related to my interview section, we can say related to my admission criteria. So what notes, what mind mapping is there for note taking? Uses are, it helps break down large chunks of data into smaller and more relatable portions. That is, I don't write an essay on my requirements, rather I present them in a shortcut way. Gives an overview at one quick glance. What is your central idea? What is your motive? It can be overviewed with one sight only, at a glance. It engages both the left and right side of your brain, that is, your complete brain is busy in thinking. It helps to create notes quickly, it saves time. It gives abundant flexibility than the traditional note-taking methods. That is, traditionally, how do we take notes? We note them down in the copy, we write them down. But here we have a flexibility, what kind of notes, in what way, in what manner, in what format I want to have. It ensures that entire information is captured. It is easier to read, grasp, and go back to specific key point. Finding key points in traditional linear note is a tedious task. That is, with this mind mapping technique, I can go back to my key points. I can find out my key points, but these key points are very difficult to find out in a traditional note making because we have to search for them. So here I know where is my key point and I can take it back on my slide. So these are the uses of mind mapping. Along with that, further some uses are also given on page number 145 of your textbook. It helps students get a better understanding of new ideas by having them create a mind map. A mind map can assist with understanding because it conveys hierarchy and the relationships, allowing students to see a big picture. Like it is given in point wise, one step, second step, and third step. Then mind map get creative juices flowing out of your mind. That is, it is a great brainstorming tool that it hammers your brain to bring out some new ideas. So it lets your thoughts to flow freely while making important connections between ideas and concepts. It encourages students to engage in active thinking instead of transcription by using mind maps for note taking. Mind maps encourage students to focus on keywords and ideas instead of just writing down whatever your teacher says. That is, whenever your teacher is teaching, it is not required that you note down each and every single word of your teacher. You simply take out the keyword from that and then you can read it out and you can explain that. So, students can also create an essay outline, gather arguments and quotes also for your essays. Mind maps activate many levels of brain activity and are a great tool to help with memorization. Have students use mind maps to present information in an interesting and engaging way with mind maps. Students can use mind mapping software to create their presentation in advance or create one on the spot also. So mind map help you to create your presentations also. Mind map are a great way for students to gather all the information that may be covered on an examination, including class notes, textbook chapters, and reading list. By using a mind map, students can visualize what needs to be done and what needs to do it. Using an outline online mind mapping program is best for group projects so that student can easily share it. So online mind mapping help you a lot. It can help you to share your ideas with your group also. Even group presentations can be made by mind mapping. That is, you can present your way, your idea to your group and it can be helpful in your presentation. So these are the uses of mind mapping. And then we are having inner exercise, brainstorming part. Few mind mapping exercises are given for which I'll be sending you answers and I'll be sending you to, and I just hope that you practice for that, and that will be a question in your question number 2. Mind mapping will be in section B of question 2. So we have to prepare a mind map on a given topic. So with this we stop here. So mind mapping explanation is over. Good morning, students. Our today's topic is lesson 3.5, drafting a virtual message. And before we move to virtual messaging, first we shall understand what is communication and what is message. So here we start. Now, drafting a virtual message, as it is in icebreaker of our lesson, there is given a two-way communication cycle process of communication. So in which we have a sender and a receiver. There is encoding and there is decoding of the message. As we are doing these days, we send messages through our mobile phone or email or any other technological media. So in this, the sender encode the message and the receiver decode the message. And what are these terms? Let's see. So the question is, can you guess the role of the sender and the receiver in the process of communication? What is the role of a sender? Who is a sender? The role of the sender is to transcribe what he or she wants to convey to the receiver in a message. That is, sender write down the message or he quotes the message. The role of the receiver is to interpret the conveyed message and to grasp its meaning. This is but obvious. If I am sending some message to somebody, I am transcribing that message, and the receiver has to get that message and he has to understand the meaning of that message. As messages use commonly accepted components, like we use words, we use symbols, like emojis we are using these days, and some signs, the receiver generally finds no difficulty in interpreting them. This is practically we are doing these days also. I want to show some emotion of myself, anger, fun, or some distress, etc. We use emojis. So this is how my receiver, but obviously naturally understand the feeling of myself. However, the sender must be careful to create a clear message so as to avoid any kind of misinterpretation or misreading. But sometimes it happens, I am sending a message through some symbols or signs, but my receiver by some mistake misunderstands the message. So that creates a problem. So while sending a message, we have to be very careful that the message should be understood well by my receiver. So now, what do we know encode? How do we encode, or what is encoding? What do we do? Encode. That is, we encode what we want to convey to the receiver in the form of an unambiguous message. Unambiguous means non-confusion. Clear message should be there. Meaning should be clear. So we encode means we write. Encoding. We make the message, we convey the message to the receiver so that he could understand it well. Then what do we decode? The message which is encoded by me is decoded by my receiver. Simple way. We decode from the message the idea that is conveyed by way of interpreting it. A clear message is easy to interpret. That is, simple is the message, simply it could be interpreted or decoded. So this is encoding and decoding. Then people send messages to others for different purposes. Mention at least 5 purposes, reasons for which messages are generally sent. These are textbook questions. These are in icebreakers only. So what are the purposes to send a message to people? First, to inform the receiver about some facts or events. Simple. To express our sympathy, like feelings like sympathy, solidarity, or we can say my anger or distress, or any kind of feeling we convey through our message. To influence the decision, attitude, etc. of the receiver. Some discussion is there. We just want to influence the decision taken by the receiver, that can also be conveyed through messaging. To meet social expectations, like expressing thanks, gestures, congratulations, wishes on occasions like Diwali, Holi, etc. Then to make the receiver imagine different scenarios, possibilities, etc. Sometimes we send a message for the receiver to understand some possibility or to imagine some possibilities. So there are different types of messages which we send to the different purposes of the messages which we send to our receiver. Now given below is a tree diagram explaining two major types of messages. Now we have to complete these boxes. Let's see. The two major types of messages are informal and formal. Just like a letter writing, informal letter and formal letter. The same way as we write informal letter to our near and dear ones, and formal letters we write official letters. We write formal letters to our principal or manager or editor, to some organization, to some institution. But informal letters we write to our parents, sister, brother, siblings, cousins. So some known person to me, they are informal letter. So there are two types, informal and formal. Now, informal are written for parents, friends, siblings, cousins, social message media groups, etc. Formal letters are written for principal, teacher, officers, institutions or organizations, as we are doing already in the letter writing. Same way, messages are also formal and informal. Now we come to communication. What is communication? Communication is an integral part of human nature. That is, we cannot sit silent. Communication, we require communication. That is part of our activity, that is part of our nature. Exchange of ideas, thoughts, information from one person to another is called communication. As the most intelligent animal on the planet, humans have derived different communication processes to express themselves and understand each other. That is, no other being, no other animal or bird or insect, no one has the capability of speaking to communicate their ideas, their thoughts, their feelings by speaking. This is only the human who has this ability. Before the advent of oral communication, non-verbal methods were also used, such as gestures, facial expressions, and movements. That is, if we take it to be miming, where we use silent language. That was in earlier days when oral communication was not prevailing. That time gestures and facial expressions were used, but with the passage of time, when humans started developing, then speaking skills also developed with the passage of time naturally. So on broader term, communication can be in three forms: oral, written, and virtual. Now what is oral? Spoken language is oral. Written, when we write something, we convey our message through writing, is written to my near one or to somebody. And third one is virtual. Virtual means to communicate with somebody who is not in front of me, who is not there, and I have to convey some message to him. Then it is virtual communication through some this technological media, right? So this is virtual communication, and our today's topic is on drafting a virtual message, so we will go for virtual communication only. Now what is a virtual communication? We define virtual communication as a mode of communication that includes the use of technology. Technology means audio and video to communicate with people who are not physically present in front of me. People can be in the next room, other room, in neighborhood, in some other city, in some other state, in some other country. I can communicate to a person staying miles and miles away from me through this virtual communication by using audio or video technology. Although virtual communication started very back with the invention of telephones, webcams, video conferencing, instant communication mode, virtual communication a big hit. Today we use virtual communication in almost every walk of our life. We communicate virtually with our family members also, with the friends. Official messages are sent by virtual communication. Today we'll learn more about virtual communication and explore Why it has become one of the most popular way of communication. In addition, we give a sneak preview of some of the best virtual communication tools used across the world. So today we are discussing virtual communication in detail. Now, what do we do in virtual messaging? With mobile virtually in every hand, be it a student of secondary or higher secondary or even a kindergarten student also, or a housewife, writing messages seems a remote possibility. Now everyone can type a message. But this was situation a few years ago. The excessive use of mobile and basic phones has brought forth the inconvenience caused by these otherwise quite useful devices. That their use has been banned at many places like schools, offices, hospitals and many other places, because they have started creating inconvenience at those places to the users. Although members of a family, classmates, colleagues, boss, employees have to write scores of messages for others. We have to write a lot of messages to each other. Thus, learning to write a short and clear message is very important. Why we are focusing on virtual messaging? That a message should be short and clear one. We cannot write a lengthy messages through our mobiles or emails. Our message should be short and clear. For that reason, we have taken up the topic virtual messaging. Most often, the input of a message comes in form of a telephonic conversation between the two people. The virtual conversation conveyed in the conversation is to be converted into a message for a third person. So in virtual, what we say in virtual communication, we actually convey our message for the third person, whereas sometimes standard instructions contain the necessary information for the message. Such messages are written on small pieces of paper called memo slips. Like many times you might have also seen, or you might have done that also, while leaving the home you leave a slip for your mom. I'm going for this purpose. So we write a short message. Or somebody called up for your father or mother and they are not at home. You have received a call and now you also have to go to your class. So what do? You send a message to your parents. So and so person calls you, please get back to them. Or you leave a note, a small note, this person called you, please get back to that person. So this is called as virtual messaging. So basically such messages contain the following. What is there? What is the format of drafting a virtual message? Just see it carefully. Date, time, name of the person to whom the message is directed, body of the message, name of the writer or the sender. That is, if you are writing this message, your name should be there. Right? So this is the format. Now as per this format, we will see further. What points we have to remember while writing a virtual message? That is, only the most important detail should be written. That is, the main point should be written. No new information should be added from your side. Grammatically correct sentences should be used. That is, no many sentences should be there. They should be simple, complex sentence. Indirect or reported speech should be used. That is, it should be so and so had called up, like this. Direct and indirect speech, you people know what is that. So our virtual message should be in indirect speech only. The message should be written in simple language without any shortcuts or abbreviations. Check your message before you submit and send it. Be friendly and polite while writing your message. Avoid any pun, ambiguity or witticism in short words that would create confusion or a chaotic situation. That is, message should be simple and clear to the person. We should not add any mockery or any confusion in that. It should be short and clear one. It should immediately convey to the reader in simple words. So these were the points to remember while drafting a virtual message. So now we come to the conclusion. So with so many options of virtual communication tools available within a click, it definitely makes our lives easier. So what are the various communication virtual tools? In this we use mobile, we use email, we use internet, even Instagram page, Facebook, etc. we are using these days. So it definitely makes our life easier. Nowadays, the ability of communicating virtually and instantly or sharing our information in seconds is very crucial. Virtual communication is creating a communication environment which is cost effective, time saving, and it is accessible 24 by 7. Communication has evolved in the last few decades, and very soon virtual communication will be the base of communication in future. We will see a range of new products and technologies which will assist in making our virtual communication more easy and quicker. If you see in our daily life also, rather than calling, we prefer to send a message to our own people also, to my mother, to my father, to my friend or sister or brother. Everywhere we use WhatsApp and we send a message rather than calling. So it has become very convenient to communicate within seconds. Invention of telephone created the path of communication, and today virtual communication has taken over everything. Initially, it was a telephone which was invented for communication to distant people, but now that has also been taken over by virtual communication. With many advantages and features, people across the world have access to multiple virtual communication tools, which is making their life easy and comfortable. So as we know, this virtual communication, messaging is quite easier and comfortable for everyone at low cost. So for that reason, virtual communication is picking pace these days. So what do we say in this lesson? We have to focus only on creating a virtual message. We don't have to go into detail of this lesson. We should know how to create a virtual message for the given conversation or for the given tools. Let's see. This is an example from a textbook only. That is, you receive a telephone call from your mother's office when she is not home. You have the following conversation with the speaker, but you have to go for your own tuition class, so you leave a message for your mother. Write the message within 50 words using the information given below. Do not add any new information. So what is the communication? Ambuj. Hello, that is it is you. Mr. Rastogi. Hello, may I speak to Miss Dikshit, please? I am Naresh Rastogi from the office. What does Ambu says? Mom's not at home right now. Mr. Rastogi says, in that case, can you give her a message? It is urgent. Please tell her that the meeting fixed for tomorrow has been rescheduled. Ask her to check her mail as soon as possible for the details. Please don't forget to inform her. So this is a long message, lengthy message which is given by Mr. Rastogi. Now what does Amber says? Don't worry, I will tell her as soon as she returns. 14th Feb 3:30 p.m. So this is date and time is given. By mistake it has come with the communication message. It has to be at the lower side. So this is the communication between Mr. Rastogi and Ambuj. Now Ambuj has drafted a message for his mom. Receiver, mom, Mr. Stogie from office called up to say that meeting fixed for tomorrow has been rescheduled. He wants you to check your mail as soon as possible for the detail. He said it was urgent. So the message is written in the indirect speech where Mr. Rastogi was speaking in the direct speech, but Ambuj has conveyed his mom in indirect speech. So then is sender's name Ambuj. Mom is the receiver, the body, and this is Ambuj. And in this message, few things are missing, which can be rectified as 14th Feb time, receiver, message, and the sender. This is the actual format of virtual messaging, that is I am leaving a message for somebody who is not present there. I am conveying one message to the person which has received from the office. With this explanation of drafting a virtual message is over. I'll sending you some samples also. There are brainstorming exercises also on virtual messaging. We'll do that also. Just watch the video and try to understand how to create a virtual message. Thank you.